Right, so today we're here with Norman from Junkyard Action.
Norwood Junk Action.
I done this last time, didn't I?
It's okay. People always, but yeah, it's
Norwood Junkyard Action.
It's like instead of Norwood Junction, it's a Junk Action.
Why didn't you do it Norwood Junk Action?
It's Norwood Junk Action.
It is that, yeah?
Yeah.
Isn't that what I said?
No, I don't think so. But it's gonna be in the future. It's gonna be just Junk Action.
Okay, so today we're with Norman from Norwood Junk Action.
Yeah.
Which I think is a very clever name because you are from
Napoli.
No.
Oh, Norwood. Sorry. Sorry. I'm from South Norwood.
Okay, start again, yeah?
From South Norwood.
So today we are with Norman from Norwood Junk Action, which is a very clever name because Norwood. We're good.
Off a few. I don't know.
Sorry.
Right.
Yeah,
Are you sure? Both cameras ready, yeah?
Both cameras
Okay.
Audio good, line's good.
So today we are with Norman from Norwood Junk Action, which is a massive movement towards cleaning up South Norwood. South Norwood is very close to where I grew up. Got some real good questions for Norman. Love what he's doing in the community. Definitely think there's something that we could do to join forces with C4 and do a collaboration. So Norman, thanks for joining me today.
Thanks for having me here.
So tell me a little bit about yourself, Norman. I mean, the reason why I asked this is because you have a accent, which I think is a very brave thing. When you come to the UK, you have an accent. It tells me that you have a bit more of a story than sort of traditional Croydon or South Norwood or South London stories. So tell me a little bit about yourself and what made you come over to the UK.
I came when I was like in my 20s. I guess I was like not having like a great time as a teenager. I felt like quite sort of like restricted within the environment I was at the time. And someone just suggested me that I should come to London, and I just came to London. And I've been now, like, despite my accent, 20 years. People is like, oh, you still have an Italian accent. I was like, what do you want me to do?
But that's good though, don't you think? It's good
I like it.
to
I feel
retain
like,
the accent, isn't it?
I mean, it's quite complicated because sometimes when I listen back, me talking, I'm like, how people really understand me?
I mean, do you know what? I think it's very brave because I struggle to move outside of my postcode. So for you to actually move to another country, and it sounded like you didn't have much of a game plan. Am I right in thinking that?
Yeah. I mean, like there was,
So it's quite off the cuff, and it's just something that you wanted to do.
Yeah.
Someone like me, I'm quite meticulous, and I like to overthink situations, and I like to make sure everything's perfect. So I suppose what you've done is quite impactful for me, kind of looking at with my own personality. So you come to the UK 20 years ago.
Yes.
What made you pick South London?
Oh, I've been all around London.
Okay.
I've been all around London, and I think mainly my moving around London has been always like based on the rent.
Right.
So,
okay. That's a sore subject, yeah.
Yes, and I moved, but I always loved being here. For me, like being in London is like traveling. You meet like so many people, and it's like reading books and learn about their history.
Very diverse, yeah.
It's amazing because it kind of like really confronts you with your own belief.
Yeah.
And like tradition and so on. So it's like I love everything that challenges me and makes me become more flexible and open-minded and empathic. It's like, I think there's a certain degree of empathy that you can achieve with yourself.
Yeah.
And that's amazing because when you become empathic towards yourself, then you become empathic towards others.
Yeah.
And you can start to really care about things. So, but then I moved to Croydon 3 years ago.
Yeah.
In South Norwood, and at the beginning I was like, what the hell? That's really far. I remember when I moved here, I was like, I was, one of these days when you're really down, I was like, I'm going to do shopping. And I went to Croydon Center to do shopping. I was like, oh my God, I should come back home. But then time goes by and I couldn't think of myself being anywhere else now. Like,
really?
I think Croydon is magic. It's magic. There is
it's very diverse, very diverse.
Oh, yeah, it's just kind of like, but it's of course it's diverse, but it's like it's I come from Napoli, and Napoli is a very complex culture city, and it's a there is so much complexity around Napoli, but then equally like so much beauty, because it's like, the best creative things, the most amazing things that come out of like difficulties, like, and even if you see like the best art is being produced by artists who struggle, a certain point, because this is when you become more creative.
Yeah, sure.
But what I think about Croydon is that it's just like the people and the whole community. There is some sort of like electricity in the area. I always compare Croydon to New York in the 60s.
Okay.
And I never been to New York, and I never even lived in the 60s. However, there is that sense of like craziness and creativity and complexity that really feeds some sort of like very dynamic place to be, So it's and now I also work more in Croydon through different organization, and so I get to know Croydon more. But I think there is a really strong sense of community here, which is actually quite amazing.
I mean, I've grown up in Croydon. I was born in East Croydon. I was actually born in Mayday Hospital, but I've grown up in Croydon my whole life. So it's quite difficult for me to make a comparison, but I do understand what you mean. I do find the culture here is very diverse. It is a little bit crazy. Some say that Croydon is the centre of the universe, so I mean, I can understand what you mean. So talk to me a little bit more about your creative mentality, because I can only assume this is like a gift or a talent that you've elaborated on in your life. So did you have this gift and this talent of having this creative mindset from Napoli, and you brought that with you, or is that something that you developed when you got to the UK?
No, I think I was always like a big creative. I mean, like but as a teenager, I was more like a trouble. I was always like the trouble person. But I think it's like my approach to creativity came out of like a necessity.
And how old was you when you felt that?
I think I was as a child, I've been always like dreaming and being like, But let me explain something. I think creativity is something that belongs to everyone.
Sure.
I believe that creativity or creative people, it's what, in my opinion, what artists do, they make their obsession tangible. And we all obsessive as a human being. So if you then want to become an artist, then you have to train some skills, or you have to keep practicing. But in terms of creativity, we express ourselves every time, like even the way you sit, your body language, what you cook, how you dress up, the way you address to people, and what even what keeps you awake at night. Those are also things that can be like, might be seen as a preoccupation, but you can translate it in creative forces.
So you feel like this type of talent or sort of, or this type of genetics is actually within everybody?
It's playfulness. So I started to, as a teenager, I struggled a lot when I moved from Naples to Rome. I was bullied because of my accent, because I didn't come from a rich family, and because of my queer identity. I like so many things. So I felt like I was bullied. And for me to be accepted by those kids who were bullying me, I changed everything. I changed my dialect. I changed my story. I pretend I was coming from a rich family, pretend to be someone else. And
so you're trying to adapt to the environment that you was in.
Totally. Yeah. Which today I'm still doing it in my work, yet through to explore different things.
I think naturally we still need to do that. I think naturally you still need to do it. I think you need to be able to be quite adaptable and almost flow with the position that you're trying to create. So you don't need to change your identity, but if you are trying to position yourself amongst a certain sector or a certain space that you want to work in, you need to be able to kind of adapt in that situation. Well, so maybe what you've done is actually probably really helped you in advance on what you want to achieve.
No, yeah, but I think you can have conversation about that. I don't think we have to change to the environment. I think we can keep conversation that allows us to be who we are, but also like accept other people. It's kind of like, it's a complex subject. I mean, for me, it was a way to escape from my own reality. But then by the time I start to see it as an opportunity to actually gain different perspective of my own identity and my persona. And then I got really obsessed with power dynamic and I'm saying our is generalizing, yeah? But our seduction to power, like as a human being. So it's like this contradiction that sometimes we want it to be recognized by the same structure or the same people that we actually don't like.
Yeah, yeah, okay.
Or the, you know, like the same institution that gave us the sense of like validation.
Yeah, I get that.
And I feel to some extent we all like play with that. So I think for me it was more an opportunity to create different character, which what I'm doing now, like my work is expressing through two fictional character, and Norman is one. But it's all about, you know, creating a conversation between those contradiction.
Okay, so I've got a question for you. When you're doing your expression on your art, and you said that you felt this talent, or you was able to expand on your creativity when you was quite young, where did that start? Was that sort of from your traditional drawing, or was that from creating sculptures? Like, what was it? Music?
Yeah, drawing.
What was
drawing.
it? Was it drawings?
I love drawing, and then I started to do paint, and then painting was a bit like kind of like restricted. Then I started to do sculpture.
Yeah.
And then I started to do performance. And
yeah. So was that like a drama on stage sort of thing?
Well, I did study. I did 1 year acting, but then in between I did some like film casting. So my other fictional character is called Dino.
Okay.
And I do performance. So.
Nice. So help me understand how you've created this this mission, which I'm really interested in discussing with you. So this ambition that you've got for you to change the negative into a positive, and you're starting that in your local community with the Norwood Junction area. What made you go for the elements of the waste and using that as a positive? What triggered that?
I think when I think generally, like as many artists or like creative people, I like to provoke because you want to have reaction. But when I moved to South Norwood, I was like really annoyed about the rubbish, the litter.
Was it particularly South Norwood in comparison to some of the other London
locations?
Oh
yeah. Like I was living before South Norwood, I was in Herne Hill.
Yeah.
And Herne Hill is like, I don't know if you guys ever watched Dogville with Lars von Trier film.
Haven't seen it.
But Herne Hill is like, I mean, I loved it, really beautiful. It's like a little town, and everybody knows, and it's like it looks really clean and nice. And when I moved to South Norwood, I was like, wow, that's a really like another world. Like,
so I mean, I know what you're doing, but for the people who don't know what you do, maybe kind of summarize exactly what it is that the Norwood Junk Action uses as a material for you to create your expressive artwork.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So I was basically I wanted to do some stuff with the litter. At some point, I was like, maybe I can do a sculpture. And then one day I came across to a gentleman who was like litter picking, and I thought it was something that only the people from the council would do as a job.
Yep.
And I was like, hey, what are you doing, man? And that was straight after the pandemic. And this person told me, I'm part of like a community group, and this was the beginning of like even learning about community groups, you know. And this person was telling me like how much litter picking helped him to deal with alcohol addiction, with depression, anxiety, and he confining these people in the community as a family. And I thought, wow, that's a great idea, maybe to make some work like public sculpture that can bring those personal narratives. So we provide a different narrative to this litter that can provoke a sense of like empathy towards people who see this as sculpture, and you know, like just like building up, provide a platform, a visibility to the volunteer, because people give for granted, you know, like, oh, somebody else is gonna clean it. So sorry. So by the time it became like an opportunity to explore like different member of the community, or people that feel unrepresented, or people that are very passionate. And Norwood Junk Action has been mostly like reaching out to these people. Sometimes they reach out on us and just kind of like providing like, you know, space and time. And we kind of like organize like litter picking session. And then through the litter picking session, we start to create some conversation about, you know, the kind of litter we collect, what litter annoys you the most, what you like the most, and try to think more creatively about this material and what they represent in terms of, as well as a society, like how we consume what we consume.
Right, okay.
You know? And then we come together in a workshops, and all this is all very much shaped by the people we work with.
Okay, so...
And we make a public sculpture, like through these workshops.
So you build a team to do the litter picking, and then you collect your materials.
Yeah.
And then during this collection, you then to have sort of authentic conversations about your reasons why you're doing this.
Yeah.
We kind of spoke about earlier about kind of giving back and the feeling that it gives you, kind of giving back and helping others.
Totally.
So is this type of conversation, is it quite authentic, or do you feel like you kind of need to generate it, or is it usually the groups that come together quite easily discuss this?
Yeah, no, that's a good question. I mean, it's a really complex thing, and for people who works in community, they can understand what I'm talking about. Working with communities is very difficult. Like, you know, we're all very complex, and we all have like different agendas and narratives. So it really depends. We have sometimes like a group of people that they come together like organically. I think what has been good about the project and what is good about Norwood Junk Action is the fact that we don't lead. We really provide a comfort platform for people
like a safe space.
Bring their own safe but brave.
Okay. So
you
then,
know, so people most of the time are constructing like what, you know, like, because even a workshop, how we can provide a workshop that is flexible for everyone, where everyone can come in and out, because it's like, you know, and everyone does litter picking for a completely different reason.
okay.
You know, it's like some people compare it to meditation.
Yeah.
Some people think it's good for their body, for their, you know, physical activity. Some people, they do it for, you know, because they don't like to see the environment dirty.
Yeah,
you
so
know.
you've got different reasons and the different motivations behind it, which I presume brings different types of
voices,
different voices, different genres of people. So I presume you're working with quite young people.
All we have
all
worked,
different variations.
We have worked with in the last year and a half. We have worked with so many like people of different like generation, background, culture, ability, disability, and that's yeah. I think.
And how does it feel when you see so many different variations of peoples and ages and nationalities, and you see you've created something to bring everybody together, and you can see them having an organic conversation? What does that feel like to you?
Yeah, that's funny, because I never really think so much about it, because I think there's lots of work. There's lots of work behind, but I feel very emotional when if I think about it. It's just because it's like, you know, this is people that made me grow, and helps me to grow.
Yeah. Like
to see things in a different light, and yeah.
I get the sense that this movement for you, this mission, this organization that you're doing, has more than the immediate cleanup aspect to it.
Totally.
It's got a lot more of a sort of spiritual sort of meaning.
Yeah, it's sort of like an holistic approach to like both, you know, to issues that are related to the world we live in. You know, like it's not just about collecting litter. It's about like understanding what is the issues of like why people are fly tipping, why we litter, and you know, we talk about deprivation, we talk about lack of education, we talk about like lack of togetherness, we talk about lack of support, of respect and care and self-care.
Essentially, what you've done, you've created a situation which immediately needs identifying, but there's so many arms what come off of there's so many arms what come off of this, where you've got the mental health and well-being. You've got the diverse, bringing people together. You've got the inclusion. You've got the environmental element. There's so many arms which come off of just this one type of this one organisation you've put together. So, how long does your litter picking collections take? How is that days? Is it weekends? Is it a week? How big are the sculptures that you make? How long are the studios where you then start to build these sculptures? Like, is it quite a long period of time, a short period of time?
It really depends. It depends again, like with who are the people we work with, and then like we construct, like for example, we had a 3-month project which is called Saturday Junkie, and that was like to get people that maybe were hungover or people who struggle like during the week with their mental health and they wanted to go out on the weekend and feel like, oh, I done something positive. Yeah. So we will meet every Saturday, and depends about the amount of people and the people. We do like litter picking session, and then for this project we were supported by Stanley Art, which is a local art organization. A really beautiful space in South Norwood, and they supported us a lot. So they will give us like, free space to bring the litter, making sculpture. And, then we had like a Tuesday Junk Action, which lasted like 3 months. And this was like to get people during lunchtime who were like working between offices and want to go out. And we did a public sculpture to reflect that. And
I was going to ask you about the sculpture. So when you've then done maybe like a 3-month, did you take a 3-month course of collecting the rubbish? The sculptures itself, do you drive the skill set behind that? Because I can imagine there's going to be a lot of people who really want to join this course, but they might not actually have that creativity and actually creating the sculptures and stuff. What do you do? Do you drive the sculpture in itself or the artwork itself, or how do you bring everybody together to create something?
Yeah, I think it's really it really varies, but most of the time it's like allowed people to find their own creative voice, and this happen like starting from litter picking and questioning how do you feel about this material. Sometimes we do like a warm-up exercise where we try to invite people to move away from the technical skills, because I think what people struggle a lot thinking that if you create, you need to have a good technical skills, you have to be good at drawing, but actually it's not about that. It's like technical skills are a cage for your creativity. You can master it if you want to work at it, of course, but like we try to really get that like a free flow, juicy creativity, and it's amazing because I can tell you that people that have no artistic training are the most bold one in terms of like ideas.
Yeah, because you're free now, aren't you?
Oh, you're free, and it's like it's so beautiful when you really like when you work with people and you start to see that they really like. It's like these people are on drugs. Yeah. Because you can see how much they really start to engage. It's like we do this workshop where we work really fast, so we don't let time to think. So we really like try to, which is a lot is about like spontaneity and improvisation. And then you just kind of like use, and this is like, I think partly is what the project as well as my practice try to promote. This idea like to use creativity to navigate precariousness.
Okay. So I mean,
imagination helps us to.
What's your call to action? Because as a business, we are massive on sustainability. Yes. We're massive on health and well-being. We specialize in cleaning data centers, and although it doesn't seem like there's immediate sort of synergy there, we are effectively still cleaning, just like how you're cleaning. We're cleaning different environments. We may have a slightly different mission behind it, but you'll often find that a lot of our cleaning operatives, even myself, who kind of push my cup, we found it quite therapeutic in actually cleaning areas and clean to a good standard, and kind of bringing people together and having those type of conversations. You'll be surprised at how much conversations that we have as a team when we're cleaning, which actually doesn't have anything to do with the actual cleaning itself, but we start talking about family and holidays, and you talk about, your ups and your downs and things like this, and what you're trying to achieve and things like that. So although we're not in the same environments, we are actually achieving very similar things. So what's your call to action? What is it that you want from the public, or is it that you want from organizations? What can we do to help you expand on what your mission is?
Oh wow, I might take some time to think and maybe come back. I mean, there's lots of things. There's lots of things. I think the way that we started was with the idea of like providing visibility to people that are engaged in community activities and provide like an understanding for people thinking that you actually gain more happiness when you give
100%.
than receive.
Like 100%, that's such a big thing. And I've actually learnt that maybe over the last sort of 5 or 6 years, and I'm often giving. And I don't know if I'm giving for the right reasons, to be honest with you, because I'm actually receiving like an inner feeling for myself. So maybe there is more of a selfish drive there, because I do like to give to make myself feel better.
Yeah, but I think it's like, we do things for our, like if you
self-esteem and.
Well, I mean, if you're not happy yourself, how you can expect to like, or if you're not feeling good with yourself, it's quite hard. But like, it's like coming back to your question. It's like it's really like about creating a more sustainable environment around the volunteering section. And for example, like with Norwood Junk Action, we started to. Have people who were like volunteering, and then slowly, probably like give some. Oh, sorry, this is my stomach. I'm hungry. It's like we started with the idea of like we have people that have volunteered for the project, and now they're running their own project and get paid to run their own project. So like it's because it's like lots of conversation about like also like what's the name? The financial struggle that everyone faced, that raising the
cost of living.
The cost of living. And I think it's great when you can provide people with a very little income. Like it's not you give lots of money, but it's like just a little income, because
incentive.
money is an energy.
Yeah.
And it's the intention behind this energy that makes the whole difference.
Yeah, I get that.
So it's not about like being material and say like, oh, you need to pay someone. You know, like I see people that work at, people that do like crazy hours, like volunteering for their community, and it's like, and it's amazing. But when you have someone like that and say like, oh, I'm gonna give you some money about that, but also like to really invite people to be more engaged in community activities, because really it stretch your sense of collectiveness and togetherness, and you really get to understand the power of being together and have structure of support around you, just like and I think after COVID, lots of things has changed.
100%.
In a way that we perceived,
the
way we function in public space.
Isolation, mental health.
Totally.
What's really important, family, life.
And we teach, we teach, for example, like, teach sounds quite patronizing, but we try to invite people to think it is like you start to care, because litter picking is an immediate satisfaction, as like, the cleaning, and you just kind of like feel better with yourself.
Yeah.
And it allows you to have conversation that probably you wouldn't have sitting
especially
at the
in
table.
a group, yeah.
But what we try to really invite people to think is that, when you start to have that little like a care towards the environment, you actually give that care to yourself as well.
Yeah.
So it's really
There's
learn
so many
how
different,
to take
there's
care
so
of
many
you.
different positives from the outcome. So list me maybe like 3 or 4 calls to action. What is it what you'd like to do? What is your message that you'd like to get across to anybody who clicks on your website, or anybody who looks at this video and says, I really want to be a part of this, I really want to be a part of Norwood Junk Action? What is your call to action? How can we help? Is it sponsorship? Is it time? Is it volunteers? Just list me a few things.
Totally. Anything that can be like from coming and volunteer to the project, organize litter picking section, get involved, more volunteer, become like a bit of like outreach for the project. That could be like supporting financially the project, like, as I say, like we have people that are working already, they are already volunteer, and this will be like to create stronger structure and maintain continuity. Because I think the issue sometimes with project is to maintain that continuity. Because people
having that consistency.
Yeah, because people have their life, and sometimes, they come in and out, and that's why it's very difficult to maintain that consistency.
Yeah.
you know, this could be like, you know, as well, like promoting the project across your channel, like whether it's like promoting it to local schools.
Okay.
And we aim to become more sustainable financially. And because it's like, you know, also like if you think about like government money or money from institution, it's very hard because it's like everybody's competing with each other for this like little grant. So it's like it would be like to create a stronger networking with organization and company like yours and benefit from each other, like, you know, as well, like to get more you out in the community and the environment, you know, which will affect, you know, like the mental health of your employees. If you think like how many places people are working every day on the in front of the computer in offices and it's
Stuck
like,
in this rat race.
and imagine if that person could do like, you know, we do like a 2 weeks workshop where you come 3 times a week, do litter picking, like half an hour, 20 minutes.
I get that.
And actually change
totally
your
get that.
idea about like, you know, the public space. And it's just kind of like, it helps you as well to gain probably sometimes a better objective perspective about your own life.
So what does success look like for you in sort of 2 to 3 years? What is it that you want to achieve with Norwood Junk Action? I get the impression that it's got nothing to do with money. You really want to be able to kind of touch people in a different way and make sure that they can kind of express themselves and kind of achieve their type of levels. So, I mean, as in summary, what does success look like for you in Norwood Junk Action?
Well, I mean, like, really, I know it's going to sound a cliche, but it's to empower people, to get people more confident about like being brave in decision making and really, honestly, try to think how we can change some like structure, dynamic structure.
And how do you measure that? How would you measure that? Because I've got a feeling you're going to get a lot of people, including myself, who's going to be really interested in kind of helping you towards your journey. There's definitely areas of what you're doing which definitely touch on what I'm doing. There's definitely some corporate commitments that we've got which we definitely want to synergize with you on. I've spoken to quite a few people in my team about your movement and your organization, and we all are quite invested in kind of helping this. So how do you measure this? Because I know this hasn't got anything to do about money or monetary gain. So how do you measure your success level? Is it feedback? Is it your platform reaching?
It's commitment.
On what type of level? Like, are you looking at like a subscription, or how many people are committed? Like, how do you measure
it's
this?
like people like, because we're relying, as I was saying before, we're relying a lot on people, decision and ideas. So it would be that sort of like commitment of people coming in and taking the project to the next level in their neighborhood, or like driving the project into another completely like a different field.
So stepping outside of Norwood.
We already
sort of Penge or going into.
We already technically
Bromley.
stepped outside because we're gonna do like a collaboration with Brighton as well. So
nice.
Yeah, but it would be literally like to invite people to be more engaged with their community.
Because I can imagine Brighton's got a lot of material there for you to
Totally.
to do your
Totally. And
expand.
it's great when people, because so far we have moved like that, with people coming in and say like, oh, I have this idea, I like to do this, and it's like totally. And our support is literally like providing like maybe space, and that's why we need money sometimes. Like,
Okay.
you know, to provide a space,
Okay.
to have a safe space for people to just kind of like using it as a studio space.
Yes.
Providing like a DIY material and whatever equipment that person needs. But it would be really like get like a movement that will start in different borough and having people to organize their own litter picking session. I mean, like eventually, because my idea is like sometimes you think how can we think big, like when we talk about, you know, environmental issues and global warming, which of course are they all extremely important issues, but how can we think so big when we let people die on our street, when we still have like you know, people not having like a secure house, when we can take care of the environment, where we don't apologize when we hit people on the street.
It's
You
kind
know,
of creating that bit of humanity.
how can we get that far? You
within
know,
ourselves.
so it's like it starts on this like very micro action, and I have lots of trust, to be honest, and that's why I love Croydon, because Croydon is a place that still allowed that playfulness.
Yeah.
You know,
I'm with you. Well, do you know, I'll be honest with you. was very excited about speaking to you about this.
Oh,
And even
thank
now,
you,
where we're
thank
having
you.
this conversation, I think we've kind of delved into areas which I think is outside of litter picking. And I think I think we're touching on areas here which is kind of more of like a cry to help, and it's also a trigger to allow us to kind of expand. So we're gonna close off this interview, but I've still got a lot of questions that I want to ask you, and there's a lot of things that we want to do to kind of help you support your movement.
Thank you.
So thank you so much.
We could do
for
that
coming
for a
down.
litter picking session.
Yeah, maybe we can have a little one-to-one. I can tell you about all my problems. So thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Thank you for having me
Thank you.
here, and thank you everyone.
Thank you. Brilliant.
Thank you.